Welcome back, everyone. Mike McConville here, Stratford, Ontario, Canada for StringTechWorkstations. I've gone over this guitar and basically located all of the high spots at various points in the neck. This guitar was sent up from Kentucky. There isn't a thumbprint on it. It's like brand new guitar. And James has sent it up to get a compensated, not compensated saddle and just sort of let me do my thing. As you've heard me mention so many times before in other videos, you have to determine the amount of load that you're going to put on the guitar. We have these strings that James loves, and they're a 12 to 53. And I've tuned it to concert pitch. So now, and only now, is when you check the sort of accuracy of the lay of the neck from fret crown to fret crown along the entire span of the neck. The strings are tuned to concert pitch. These are the strings he's using. This is the amount of tension that's being generated. The instrument has flexed, found its point of equilibrium, and is floating in resistance to the mechanical load of this exact string tuned to this exact pitch. So I have highlighted all those spots so I know where they are. When I remove the strings, the neck goes into a slight back bow. So I'm still going to have to play with that truss rod to get this neck back to where it is now once we take the strings off. We're going to start by doing our regular tuning test that you've seen me do in hundreds and hundreds of other videos. So we're going to start there and let you see exactly where the intonation lies right now before I lift a finger to adjust anything. So here we go one more time. Our proverbial tuning test. Open 6th. Yeah, it's 4 cents flat. Okay, so 7th fret note. I want to tune exactly to that 7th fret note. There's our 7th fret note. And octave. Ooh, man, that's like 8 cents flat. Okay, here's the 5th string. Octave. That's pretty darn close. Tune to that 7th fret note. And it's octave. Still very close, couple of cents flat. There's our 12th fret, and can't beat that. Perfect. Okay, 7th fret. It's a little sharp. I'm going to tune down until that note is perfectly in tune. There we go. Okay, octave. Yeah, it's like 6 cents flat. So I do have my storyboard here. Whoops, 6 cents flat, not sharp. 6 cents flat. Let's see how the G looks. And octave. 2 cents flat. But that is not the value I'm interested in. We're adjusting the bridge. There's our 7th fret. Woo! Okay, 9 cents flat. So there's the 2nd string, 7th fret. Octave. 3 cents flat. And it's octave. Yeah, 4 cents flat. And again, we'll go string by string. Open string and 1st fret fretted note. Okay. I'm not death gripping this. 4 cents sharp. So I've got my map here. This is the bridge that we just did. 4, 2, 6, 9, 3, and 4, all flat. Open string note on the 6th string. 1st fret, 4 cents sharp. Okay, the A string. Okay, and fretted note. That's pretty close. It's like 3 cents sharp. The D string and 1st fret. Okay, it's about 4 cents sharp. 2nd string and 1st fret. It's about 5 cents sharp. So 1st string and it's 1st fret note. Not bad. 2 cents sharp. Now we'll pull the strings off. Yeah, I'm not real crazy about how loose that is on the bridge. Now we're putting a pickup system in this. I am going to have to router out that slot a little deeper to allow the saddle to have enough depth in the slot to be stable. So we'll deepen that slot just ever so slightly. So before we go any further, the next step is to deepen the bridge slot to allow for the thickness of the LR bags under the saddle pickup. We'll set that aside for now. This is the CNC plexiglass template with an indexing pin. This allows me to predetermine the trajectory of the cutter, the stop point on both ends, to be able to line this up perfectly. When you open the box, you'll find this plexiglass template, which is basically a duplicate, CNC duplicate of the Bosch Colt router base, and then everything you see here. This is finger tightened. There's no wrenches, there's no clamps. Just finger tightened, and that is rock solid. That will not budge, but at the same time you can't put enough force on that by hand to crush the guitar, and that's the idea. There's two little slips of hockey puck rubber that I cut to size and thickness, and the purpose of this is to deflect the pressure to the junction of the sides, the top, and the kerfing, the edge of the guitar. That's where the pressure goes, not on the top, not on the back. As you can see, this L bracket that's lined with padding on the inside, it'll actually tilt because the side is thicker here than it is here, so it's not straight across. Between the plate and these adjustments, that pulls up the L bracket tight and holds it safely and firmly in place without any danger of scratching or crushing the guitar. We're ready to make the cut. I am going to go a little bit deeper than that because I want to allow good purchase for the depth of the saddle. So the center of the slot is 6.5 millimeters. The end of the slot, it goes down to 5. Now, of course, that's minus the thickness of the pickup. And that leaves plenty of material on the floor to support the downward force of the saddle. So I'm good with that. This is how quickly and safely we remove the bridge slotting jig. So we're done with that. We can set it aside. We're going to go ahead and install that system first. So when we go to do all that work on the cantilevered bridge saddle, we're working with a finished product as far as the slot goes. You want to drill on an angle, but not too steep of an angle because the X-brace just skirts right by this. So this is the LR Bags Anthem SL assembly, and this is how we install this system. We need to allow enough depth for it to go through the tail block. So next move is to get our locate and drill out the tail block for this input jack. So we'll jack that up. X marks the spot. (31/64). So I'm doing that visual check. We need to adjust this so the neck here is just a hint shy of the outside surface. That's what we're looking at for, I don't know how well the camera's going to pick that up, but that's what we're looking at for tolerance. Okay, let's feed this in and bolt it down. We've got a 1/4-inch dowel here. You can pick up at the dollar store. You get a bag of them for like buck and a quarter or something. I'm reaching through the sound hole here and basically indexing that dowel into the input jack. So pull that through. That's back a little bit far. I'm going to loosen that nut off a little bit and get a little bit closer to that outside edge. Try this again. Yeah, I'm liking that. So you can see that this shoulder is shy of the outside surface, and that's exactly what we want. So at this point, we can slip this washer over top, and then we can slip that nut into place. Now we pull the dowel out. We stick our Allen key through that hole to stop the jack from turning as we snug it down. One thing I found out many years ago when these first came out, that you don't want to use this for your strap button. Just use it for an input jack. If you do use it for the strap button, one thing is guaranteed: they're guaranteed to loosen up every time. And I've seen people put super glue on them, which is not the solution. Just put a slip of leather over that, grab it with the vice grips very gently, and give it a turn. It'll never loosen up. So the other thing is, when you plug in, you've got your strap on, you can loop your cord up and over, and then you plug it in. This way your strap acts as a strain relief for the actual cord. So if you're walking around on stage and you step, or someone else steps on your cord, the input jack never gets a hit. So our next step is to reach in without getting these wires all tangled up and locate the under the saddle transducer. We're going to put that in next. I reached inside, I got 120 grit sandpaper, and any breakout that may obstruct us from sort of feeding that wire through it, just give that just a gentle rub. This is on the bridge plate underneath the bridge. So just give that a quick scuff. Make sure there's no obstruction for that to feed that pickup through. I want to make sure that that pickup is not tangled up with any of these other wires. So I'm reaching back to the input jack actually, and making sure that I bring this in independently so it's not tangled up with any of the other wires. I'm using an Allen key to kind of find my place as I feed that wire through. I'm going to pull that through. So I've got that original saddle there just to hold that thing in place as we do the rest of the installation. This is our next candidate for installation. I'm using these as indexing pins to kind of find my place in the center of the bridge plate. So I'm doing my dry run first. I've got the controller and the battery wire there as well. So I'm going to just set those aside for now, and I'm going to kind of find my place inside here. These are peel and stick, so when you stick this into place, I initially just sort of kiss those two middle pins with the outside diameter and then pull back towards the edge of the bridge plate, because you need enough room for the ball ends of the strings to go in and curl up without touching this. So here we go. So I've done my dry run. I got a pretty good idea where we're going with this. These 3M peel and stick pads, that's how you adhere the pickup to the bridge plate. Careful not to touch them with your fingers. I'm just pressing that into place, and this is our next sort of candidate for installation. And you got to make sure that there isn't any obstructions here. And these are the little 3M peel and stick. Don't touch the sticky side. Now I'm mounting this in reverse because we're putting it in past that brace, so James can use his feedback buster thing. I've already kind of very lightly sanded with some 320 underneath the soundboard to position this, and then wiped it off with some naphtha. And we're just going to stick it into place. Just hold that for a few seconds. That part of the install is done. It's not quite as accessible as it would be here, but it's definitely accessible. Even with the strings on, he can reach in there and turn it up or turn it down or adjust the volume any way he wants. And of course the folks at LR Bags are good enough to leave you a couple extra ones in case you screw it up. But in this case we've got a nice big area right on the leading edge of the head block. I'm just going to set that in first and make sure we get it centered nicely. I'm kind of centering it with the head block. Get that centered, that looks good. And then I'm just tipping it up. You know, the head block is obviously the most solid part of the acoustic guitar, where the neck joins the body, and that's the best place to put your battery. So our battery bag is next. Nice fresh battery, and it just centers right on the head block. And that's where we attach it, to the center of the head block, the most solid part of the guitar. It's not going to disrupt anything acoustically, and that's why you don't want to stick a heavy battery like that to the top or the back of an acoustic guitar. Now that the system's installed, we can turn our attention back to the cantilevered compensated bridge saddle. So I'm getting ready to box this up and ship it back to James in Brandenburg, Kentucky, but before I do, I thought I'd bring you in for the final look, and we'll do the final moment of truth tuning check as well. So that's where we ended up with the saddle. And these are the final values on the compensated nut. Again, 12 to 53, concert pitch. I've gotten into the habit of actually putting a piece of foam on the acoustic guitars under the strings to just deaden any type of sympathetic overtones. So there's our 6th string. And 1st fret. There's our A string. Kind of shift these pieces of foam around so we don't get any overtones from the other strings. And here's our D octave, 7th octave, and 1st fret. There's our 3rd string. And our 2nd string. First string. And now for the real test, we go in and play some chords. It's amazing how even the packaging has become a real art form. I mean, it's like I'm opening up an iPhone or something. Those are the strings he's using. D'Addario XS, Phosphor Bronze, Maximum Life. We've all seen coated strings, but these strings, even the 1st and 2nd string, plain strings, also have a coating on them. Let's go in and check them out. Before I ship this back to Brandenburg, Kentucky, to James, I'll do what I always do, which is layer some chords so you can actually hear the intonation and how regulated it is across the entire span of the neck. So here's the first layer. So the second layer is we'll let that play. Let that play again. Now I have gone inside and adjusted the system to about 15% microphone. So you have this little wand that you can reach in the sound hole to get at that controller and then pan from bridge pickup to microphone. And that's something you just got to experiment with depending on what amp or system you're using. I have kind of faded to the microphone here. I'm going to let that play again, and now you'll hear the difference. The last recording I think was pretty well the bridge pickup mostly. Now we've got a bit of mic on this. Okay, here we go. Turn it all the way back to the bridge again, and then I'm going to fade that pickup in a little bit less, about 10%. Let's see how that sounds. The microphone tends to give it a little bit more top end, overtones and so on. So I am going to dial it in just a little tiny bit more. You can hear that it's brighter. Let's try that again. Does add a bit of brightness, top end, and overtones. So I'm going to back it off again a little bit. Let's see what that's like. Obviously you have outboard gear that you can add or subtract mid, bass, top end, you know, for whatever you need. But